Lily stood at the cafe window, gazing at the raindrops racing down the glass. She loved the rain, the way it softened the world, made everything seem just a little bit more magical. But today, there was something else on her mind. Or rather, someone. It was a Tuesday when she first met him. Alex. He was sitting at the corner table, reading a book, one of her favorites, The Little Prince. Their eyes met for just a second as she passed by, but in that brief moment, something sparked. She felt drawn to him, as if she knew him from another time or place. Days went by, and Lily found herself returning to the cafe more often than usual. She'd sit near his usual spot, pretending to be engrossed in her own book but stealing glances at him whenever she could. They never spoke, but there was always an unspoken connection in the air, as if the universe was waiting for the right moment to bring them together. One day, as she was about to leave, she heard a voice behind her. "Do you believe in fate?" Startled, she turned around to find Alex standing there, a shy smile on his face. She blinked, surprised that he had noticed her. "I've seen you here before," he said, his voice soft but confident. "I was wondering if we could talk." They sat down, and what began as a simple conversation about books turned into something much deeper. They talked about their dreams, their fears, the little things that made them who they were. Time seemed to blur, the rain outside their only witness. From that day on, they met at the cafe every week. They'd sit for hours, sharing stories and dreams, until one evening when Alex took her hand in his. "I think I've been waiting for you all my life," he said quietly, his eyes searching hers. Lily smiled, squeezing his hand. "Maybe we were both waiting." The rain continued to fall as they walked out together, hand in hand, into the world they were ready to face, together.
Weeks passed, and Lily and Alex grew closer with each encounter. Their time at the cafe became their sanctuary, a place where they could escape the noise of the world and just be with each other. The rain that once painted the backdrop of their meetings had given way to sunny afternoons, but the warmth between them only deepened. One evening, as they sat under the stars after a long walk along the riverbank, Alex turned to her, a seriousness in his eyes that she hadn't seen before. "Lily," he began, "there's something I've been meaning to say." She felt her heart skip a beat, anticipation tightening in her chest. His hand reached into his jacket pocket, and for a moment, she thought he might pull out something, a ring, maybe. But instead, he held out a small, crumpled letter. "I've been carrying this with me since the day we met," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "I wrote it before I ever had the courage to talk to you." Lily took the letter from his hand, unfolding it gently. The words inside were simple, yet full of emotion. He had written about the first time he saw her, how something about her captivated him in a way he couldn't explain. He wrote about how he had sat at the cafe day after day, hoping she'd notice him, and how every time she smiled, his world felt a little brighter. Tears welled up in her eyes as she read the final lines. "If you're reading this, it means I finally found the courage to tell you how I feel. I don't know where this will lead, but I know that as long as I'm with you, I'll never stop trying to make you smile." Asterisk. She looked up at him, her vision blurred with tears. "Alex, this is beautiful. I wasn't sure if I'd ever give it to you," he admitted, his own voice shaky. "But now I know I don't want to wait any longer." Without a word, Lily leaned in and kissed him, the world around them fading away. In that moment, nothing else mattered. They had found each other, and for them, that was enough. As they pulled away, breathless but smiling, Lily whispered, "I think I've loved you from the moment I saw you too." They sat there for hours, wrapped in the warmth of each other's presence, knowing that whatever the future held, they would face it together. Their love, which had started with stolen glances and quiet moments, had blossomed into something more beautiful than either of them had ever imagined.
As the seasons shifted, so did Lily and Alex's love, growing deeper and more intertwined. They spent weekends exploring the city, finding hidden spots that felt like their own little worlds, quiet parks, tucked away bookshops, and the same cozy cafe where their story had begun. Every corner of the city seemed to hold a memory, a piece of their love story, stitched together by shared laughter, long talks, and moments of silence where words weren't needed. One late autumn evening, as they walked through the park, leaves crunching beneath their feet, Alex stopped and pulled Lily close. "I've been thinking a lot about us," he said, his breath visible in the crisp air. "About how lucky I am to have found you." Lily smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "I feel the same way, Alex." He took a deep breath, his fingers tightening around hers. "I don't want this to ever end, Lily. I want to build a life with you. I want us to always have this, to grow together, face whatever comes our way. Lily's heart swelled with emotion. She had felt the same way for months, knowing that what they had was something rare, something worth holding on to. I want that too, she whispered, looking up at him. Alex's face lit up, and before she knew it, he was reaching into his coat pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. He knelt down on one knee, right there in the park under the soft glow of the streetlights. Lily, he said, his voice filled with emotion, will you marry me? Tears filled her eyes, and without hesitation, she nodded, her voice trembling as she said, yes. 1,000 times yes. The world seemed to disappear around them as they embraced, their future stretching out before them like an unwritten story, waiting to be filled with all the love and adventures yet to come. From that moment on, Lily and Alex knew that their love was more than just a fleeting romance, it was a promise, a partnership, and the beginning of a beautiful journey they would walk together, hand in hand.